today I have with me 6 super amazing special guests, college students that are heading into education. 50% of new teachers get into the classroom and they leave within the first 5 years. So why is it that you can sit here as juniors and seniors, or anybody a senior? We're all juniors. So a couple of seniors. All right, so juniors and seniors saying, this is what I want to dedicate my post-collegiate life to.
I want to be able to connect with all of my students, but especially the students who are growing up like me or who grew up like I did. I don't think we realize, a lot of times adults don't realize how many students have parents who are incarcerated, parents who are addicts.
When they leave my classroom, they know right from wrong. They know how to treat people, and they know I should treat people the way that I want to be treated.
Having self-expression and a safe space to have self-expression is so important for kids and growing up.
Inversion thinking is the process that understands that our brains are better at finding problems than solutions. So just now I asked, could you tell me what it takes to be a highly effective teacher? We're like, I don't know. It's hard to kind of find that solution. But watch this. Can you think of something that a teacher would do that would make them be a terrible teacher? I would like for each of you to give me one thing that a teacher would do that would make them a terrible teacher. And we're gonna talk about how to flip that so that we can become great. All right, welcome to New Teacher Big Impact, the podcast where we help new teachers have a big impact on student achievement data without being unsupported, without burning out, and without changing who they are. And today I have with me 6 super amazing special guests, college students that are heading into education. They'll introduce themselves to you in just a second, but we're going to be talking about why is it that we're deciding to go into education when everything around us says, wow, go do something else, right? Why is it that we're deciding to go into education? Last night, I came down here to Myrtle Beach to have a conversation with these students that are heading into the workforce, and I had an opportunity to meet these 6 individuals, and we're going to have an amazing conversation. I'll pick their brains a little bit to figure out why is it that we're diving into this profession. Is that all right?
Yeah.
You feeling okay?
Mm-hmm.
Feeling nervous? Who's nervous?
I'm not nervous.
You can't be. All right, so I want you to have to introduce yourselves, but very briefly, let me know your name, the grade level that you eventually want to teach when you start teaching in a couple of years here, and your favorite grade level, just real quickly, and we can start recording.
Hi, my name is Courtney Clark. I want to go into either elementary or high school. I'm also a theater major, if that helps anything. My favorite grade level, I would have to say, was 6th grade, because that was the first year that I had a real drama class. And I did my first real performance, and I was the lead in our school play kind of thing. And it was just it really helped grow my love of theater into what I have today.
Oh, I love that. So because you were passionate about it, now you're going to help push that passion onto somebody else.
Yeah.
I'm interested to dive into elementary or high school. I was like, okay, we gotta pick one, but we'll see. You'll be all right. Kiara, what you got for us?
My name is Kiara Williams. I'm a middle grades education major, and my focus is history and English, more so than English. Thank the Lord. I think my favorite grade growing up was 8th grade or 10th grade. I think those are the years where I finally realized what I wanted to do, and I had really good teachers to impact me. And we'll get into it a little bit later. But,
Okay.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So you go right back to that age group to help impact them. Yeah. It's amazing. Mikey, you're next. I guess I could just say the names for everybody. I've been doing that. Yeah, Mikey. Yeah.
So I'm Mikey Brown, and I'm a secondary English major who wants to teach high school. And my favorite grade in school was actually probably 11th and 12th grade, just because that was some of my favorite English classes I had. I also got to do a lot more theater stuff then, which was really cool. And so that's just kind of why I really want to teach high school English anyways, because I can kind of replicate that experience for others and, get them into it.
Mm-hmm. No, I like that. It's super important. Maddie's up next.
My name is Maddie. I'm an early childhood ed major. I want to teach 1st grade, and my favorite grade throughout my schooling was 7th grade, because I struggled with math my entire life. Yeah. But I had a really good math teacher, Mr. Newsom, and so he's why that grade was my favorite.
That's awesome. I wish I had a favorite teacher. That seems like that would have been so cool. Mason, go ahead.
I'm Mason Farmer. I'm an elementary major, hoping to do 5th grade math and science. And my favorite grade growing up was 5th grade. That was the year that I had my favorite teacher is also the one who I've always wanted to do education, which we'll dive in later, but she was kind of the first teacher that showed me what education really looks like and what it should be.
And what it should be is powerful. I like that. That's awesome. All right, wrap it up, Beth.
My name is Beth Beasley, and my favorite grade was 5th grade, but I'm an early childhood education major, and I want to teach 2nd. And that's it.
And that's it. There you go. So aside from Courtney and maybe a little bit of Kiara, everybody was, your favorite grade level was kind of like the one you want to go back and empower, which I feel is interesting. So we'll definitely dive into those. So as we said, I want to know, why is it that we're choosing an education career? When you think about a lot of the conversations that people are having, maybe outside of the education sector, we see like it's not a secret, right? People look at education, they know it's not the money, right? Like nobody's going into education because you guys are going to make a whole lot of money. But then we say, it's about the impact. Well, there's lots of ways to impact, right? You can impact in other sectors. You can impact through social work, through nursing, through counseling, therapy. Right now, mental health is such a big thing, right? So why is it that education is what we're going to go into when we see that 50% of new teachers get into the classroom and they leave within the first 5 years? So why is it that you can sit here as juniors and seniors, or anybody a senior? Well, juniors. So a couple of seniors. All right. So juniors and seniors saying, this is what I want to dedicate my post-collegiate life to. I want to make this impact in education as a classroom teacher, when so many people are saying, this isn't for me. All right. Let's just have a conversation about it. You guys can share some of your thoughts. Anybody can get started. Why? Why are we going into education?
What if I told you that the principles that are being taught in this video could be taught to your school community live and in person? Well, the answer is yes. I'm Daryl Williams Jr., and you know that I'm on a mission to help 1 million students be able to live the life that they choose, not the life they're forced to settle for. And I do that by empowering new teachers to have a big impact on student achievement data without burning out, without feeling unsupported, and without changing who they are. So if there's a message that I can empower your students, your staff, your school community with, I would love to pop up in person and make that happen and provide massive value for your school community. Check the link in the description below to fill out a booking form, and somebody from the team will get back to you about how we can work together.
Why are we going into education?
A complex childhood made my future profession a very simple choice, and the largest influence on my decision was my dad. My dad's first experience with drugs occurred when he was in the 8th grade at 13 years old. And it led to some pretty wild teenage years. After his high school graduation, he joined the Navy. He was in the Navy for a few years. And then after that, he met my mom, and they ended up having me. During my younger years, my dad was sober. And for the most part, I remember him being, sorry.
Oh, you got it. You just went right for it. Okay.
Had to get it over with. Very active in my life. After an injury during a softball game, he began taking pain pills, and that's what triggered his addiction. When I was around 2nd grade, his relapse resulted in his arrest and a sentence of 30 years of prison. Also, during this time, my mom got married and she moved away, and so I was raised by my paternal grandparents in Aiken. And if you don't know where that is, it's a pretty small town. We have a lot of horses there. So yeah. But while he was in prison, my dad became a Christian and his life was radically changed. Fast forward to today. My dad is a business owner. He's on staff at our church, Middle Valley Community Church of the Nazarene, as director of prison ministry. He is a loyal husband to my stepmom, Maggie. Sorry, guys. And a fantastic dad to me and my 2 sisters, Beckham and Rory, who I love. Beckham is 2, and I love her so much. And Rory is 6 months old. So there's a very big age difference, if you can tell.
Yeah.
He got to see me go to prom, get baptized, to graduate high school. In a few months, he will get to walk me down the aisle, and then soon after, he will watch me graduate college. This year, he will celebrate 11 years of sobriety, and if you didn't do the math, he didn't serve 30 years in prison. My dad was able to come home this summer before my 10th grade year. My childhood experiences inspired me to be an educator for several reasons. The first being that I want to be able to connect with all of my students, but especially the students who are growing up like me, or who grew up like I did. I don't think we realize, a lot of times adults don't realize how many students have parents who are incarcerated, parents who are addicts, or parents who are not involved. And I want to be able to instill in all of my students, but especially those students, that there is hope. People do recover, and you are not defined at all by your parents' mistakes, which is something that I struggled with for a very long time. And the second is, I want to be a teacher that notices. It's not a single teacher's fault that my dad went down the path that he did, but he did experiment with drugs when he was in 8th grade. So like a teacher had to notice. But, if they notice and they spoke up, I can't help but think what could have happened or what could have been prevented if they spoke up and noticed. And so I want to be a teacher that notices. And so that's what I've chosen to go into education. Sorry for getting emotional.
I was shocked when you said you wanted to go first, and then as soon as you started talking, I was like, "Oh, here we go. This is going to be powerful." Well, I just want to affirm you. Thank you, first of all, for your transparency, right? And I just want to say that it's just inspiring to hear your why and the reason why you're deciding to get into this work. Sometimes people run to the thing, as we heard a couple of people share, they run to the thing that helped them. And you're one of those people that is running to the thing that caused you so much pain. Like, because you experience so much pain, you want to prevent others from experiencing the same thing. And that's a huge way to find your passion, which is awesome. So thank you so much. Thank you so much for that. And I'm super glad. I was definitely doing the math in my head. I was like, 30 years. She don't look 41.
It was around I think it ended up being around 8 years. So around 2nd grade to when I was in 10th grade. Mm-hmm. And I forgot to mention, we have a really great relationship now. I love my dad. He's my best friend. So
that's awesome. That's awesome. And that's cool because, like you said, he's an 8th grader. So in your brain, you had to think there's somebody that should have noticed. There's somebody that should have seen signs. And we know that students spend most of their time at school. And there's so many teachers, as you know, I'm an assistant principal, and I see teachers all the time. I communicate with teachers all the time. There's a lot that have a great heart, a big heart, that want to do what's best for students, but there are definitely some that just want the paycheck. Like, as small as it is, the paycheck, the benefits. So they're like, I'm here just to teach the content. Whatever happens outside of school, whoever you are, that's not on me, right? That's your parents' job is to raise you. My job is to teach you. But to your point, the teachers that can, I always say, good teachers teach subjects, but great teachers teach students. When they see the student that is inside, like they see the student and help them learn the skills that they need to be successful human beings and seeing farther than just the content, that's what truly helps students to be successful. So I appreciate you saying that, Maddie.
So for me, all through middle school, I went to District 2 in Spartanburg, so that was like the Bowling Springs area. But I transferred right as I was going into 6th grade. My dad got a job as a head football coach, and so I went up to his district with him. I didn't have the best 6 through 12 years, middle school and high school. Went through a lot of I don't want to say abuse, but it was verbal, sometimes physical from other students, sometimes teachers. But it was extremely hard just because my dad was in the same district, and so I never wanted to cause a problem because I didn't want to cause a problem for him. And so he doesn't even know this, so I hope he doesn't watch this, but that'll be a weird conversation to have. But I've always knew I wanted to be a teacher. I always joke now. I was like, if I change majors, I don't know what I would do because it's all I've known. I was the kid who played school in his room. My cousins came over. They were the students. I graded fake papers. I used my parents' old landline. I was hardcore.
Yeah.
Like I was hardcore. Like,
were you a good teacher when you were pretending?
I don't know. Ask my cousin.
Probably were.
Probably. I don't know. But that's how far it goes back for me. And so all the job shadowing times, it was that I was going back to my old teachers' classrooms. It was that I was trying to find something to do with education because I knew that's what I wanted to do. And it wasn't until really after high school and I stopped playing football, I went on a weight loss journey and I lost 95 pounds because I was kind of tired of everyone making fun of me for the way I looked. And I'm not giving credit to them because I didn't do it for them, but I did it for myself. But in that time, I realized that losing that weight, it was kind of like the baggage of all of the doubters saying that I couldn't be a great teacher because of all these things that I looked like. And, I never wanted to give them the credit, but now looking back on it, I realized that I didn't do it for them. I did it for myself. And through that, I was able to find that my real passion was for kids that went through the same thing I did. And even though I went through that in 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, I could impact them in 3rd, 4th, and 5th when they're even at a younger stage, when they need that role model and they need that support system, that loving home that they may not have at home. And so, like for me, like last night with the vision question, my vision was that I'm not there to make sure they know the content. Obviously, that's a part of my job. I'm there to make sure that I raise citizens of our society, and that, they'll know how to cross multiply and how to divide with every algorithm we had to teach, but that when they leave my classroom, they know right from wrong. They know how to treat people, and they know I should treat people the way that I want to be treated. And so that's my why.
Get that. Come on, let's get some class for names. I appreciate it. And I'm hearing a common theme in that we've all experienced some sort of trauma, it's just a fact. Mm-hmm. Everybody has gone through some sort of trauma. And I'm wondering how common it is for teachers to take that trauma and flip it to now be the thing that we use to help release somebody else from. I wonder how often that happens. Because I know similarly to, I was telling you guys last night in the keynote that it was the same thing for me. And that's another reason also you went down to elementary 3-5. But that's another reason why I went to middle school. Because for me, middle school are those foundational years where you decide who you're going to be. Mm-hmm. So that's why I said, but by the time you get to high school, a lot of times you're solidified. So people say that in elementary school, K-5, you're still wanting to please your parents. Mm-hmm. So you're like, I just want to make sure mommy and daddy are, love me. In high school, 9-12, you're focusing on your future, your career. So it's like for yourself, I want to get into a good college. I want to position myself for a good career. But middle school is kind of like, I don't really care what my parents say. I'm too old for that. But college is too far away. I'm not really focused on that. So middle school, that's why they're so lost, if you would. Because what do I even do right now? Why am I even doing this thing? Why am I living? What's the purpose of life? So that's why I went to middle school. But I love that. That's why you're going to the 3-5 mm-hmm. to help them before they get to middle school, which is fantastic. All right, I love this. Notice how we're seeing this. I didn't know it was going to be so heavy. I didn't know it was going to be so deep. But I mean, when you really get into the work of why we get into this, I hope people are hearing that teaching is not just content, like you said. It's not just algorithms, and it's not just verbs and verb tense agreement. Like, there's so many people that just want to help inspire and empower the next generation to be amazing individuals. It's going to take teachers to do it.
Before we get to the next point, I just have to let you know that my book, 99% Human, 1% Amazing, right now is free. All you have to do is cover the cost of shipping and I'll get it directly to you. So check the link in the description below. If you're receiving value from this video, you'll probably love the book.
For me, I think knowledge is power. And so I've always wanted to be a teacher, but I didn't realize how much I really, really wanted to be a teacher until I started working at the YMCA. And I did after school care. And the kids would come in and we would work on their homework, but they wouldn't understand why. I'd be like, why are you doing this? You have to do your homework. They're like, because my teacher said so, not because I'm going to need this in the future. So I feel like the reason why I want to do 2nd grade is because a lot of kids, they're like, I'm forced to learn how to read, but they don't understand why. So I want them to know, you're going to want to go get cereal at the grocery store. You're going to want to know how to count money. Because that's power. You need to know these things whenever you get out. And a lot of people don't value that, and they don't teach them to value that. And so that's why I want to go.
Okay. Yeah, but that's still definitely, come on, clap it up for better your future. Thank you for sharing that for us. But that's still, we're future focused and knowing that this is what's going to help.
Also, every single profession, you have to have a high school degree. Yeah. So we are the bottom. We start foundation. Yeah. I mean, you can't do anything without a high school degree.
That's true. You talk about students having choices. Yeah. And I always say, I help students learn foundational skills so that they can then have choices. Right. Well, one of the things that they need is to be able to read. Let's make sure that they have the content as well as the mindset. Love that, right? Awesome. Come on, that side of the room kind of quiet. Let's go. Come on, Kiara.
I think one of the biggest things for me growing up is I didn't see a lot of teachers that looked like me. And I definitely wanted to advocate for myself, because when I went through middle school and high school, I went through a really rough time of finding the people that I wanted to hang out with. Like what you said last night, like I was trying to find my group, and I'm a biracial female, so I'm Black and white. So like it's hard to like hang out with people that you think accept you, and then also they don't get you. And you go to people that you think understand you, but they also don't understand you. So I went through that really hard time in middle school where I was just like, I don't know where I fit in. And then when I found my people, it took me like a really long time to realize like, this is not the people that I need to be with. These aren't the people that are going to help me grow. And I think that's one of my favorite words is growing, because I think I've grown so much since middle school to the person I am today, because I want to advocate and I want to see the change in my students. So I want to create a safe space where all my students feel accepted, no matter who you are. And then they understand they can come to me. Like I understand. I may not have gone through that experience, but I can help them in some type of way. Because I didn't really have that support at home, but I also didn't have that at school. But I had those teachers, right? And I had those teachers that could like have that conversation with me and be like, I don't know what you're going through necessarily, but I can help you try to find that path of where you think you should go. And I found that path, and I have great support systems now. And I have my supporter, I have my guide, I have my protector. And I just thought about all that last night. And I'm like, this is literally me right now. So it's like really emotional, and like to grow to where I am today, it's so influential. So I don't know. Yeah.
You were paying attention last night. Okay, paying attention during the keynote. That's awesome. And I think it's huge. When you were speaking, a quote came to my mind by Tinku Razoria, I think is how you say it. I never actually said it out loud. I only read it, read her name. But she said, everybody should have that person that they can tell the truth to when asked, how are you? And I think so many times, man, my son is 2 years old right now. And if you ask him right now, how are you? He's going to say good. he's going to say good. We didn't teach him that. He just hears it, right?
Yeah.
Because so many times somebody asks, how are you doing? And the answer is good.
Yeah.
But to your point, growing up, biracial, growing up, trying to figure out what group do I hang out with? I'm too black for the black kid, too black for the white kids, too white for the black kids. I'm too, like, where do I even fit in? And I can't hang with the, whatever. Where's my group? Where's my people? But when you go home, let me not talk about you. Let me talk about me. Because I know for me, going through similar situations, I would then go home and my parents would say, how was school? Good. Like,
That's what I did.
right?
Yeah.
It was good. Though I'm struggling, though I can't, I'm feeling, inadequate, out of place. I can't wait for this thing to be over. I will go home and say it's good. And for me, I didn't have that teacher that I could go to and that asked me, when they asked, no, really, how are you? I didn't have somebody I can confide in. I'm so glad you had your person. And I'm so glad that you can be that for somebody else. All right, that's it. Come on, clap it up for Kiara. Let's rock and roll. Courtney and Mikey.
I can go. So for me, like why I want to be a teacher is like, for me, it's like a person. I try and base everything I do in love. Like I love loving people. I love showing love. I love giving love. Like that's just like who I am. And that's like what I want to be as a teacher. Like my whole why is like, someone will always be in your corner. And like, I want to get like a pair of boxing gloves to hang up in my classroom somewhere to be like, cause like the whole thing is like, in a boxing ring is like someone's always right there in your corner that's there to like give you support when you need it, give you pep talk when you need it, but still send you out. But like when you need someone to come back to, they're always going to be there. You're never going to go back to the corner. There's not going to be someone there. And like just show like love and support in that way. And also like a big thing of like why I want to be like a theater teacher is I believe like having self-expression and a safe space to have self-expression is so important for like kids and growing up, because it's like with that way they can think all of these things. They don't have to verbalize it necessarily, because that's what I love about theater is like it can be so many different things. Yeah. It's like you could do big scenes, little scenes, monologues, movement. Like we just did archetypal gestures like in my acting class where it was like taking movements that matched emotions, and like you can use that to express like who you are and what you're feeling. And I think that's really important to help foster that in kids.
That is so true. Come on, clap it up for Courtney. Appreciate you for sharing that. I love that. And I love that even as you are a junior in college, you're seeing one thing that we like to tell teachers a lot is that every day is a new day. So yes, today you may have done something you weren't supposed to. I'm going to, discipline, consequence, send you out, whatever it has to be, whatever your school policies are. But tomorrow, like, I'm still in your corner. It's a new day, and we're going to keep moving forward. I love that. I love it. Mikey, you ready to wrap it up?
Yeah.
Let's go.
So for me, I think just being a teacher is such a necessary thing as a society. And, it's something that you need when you're younger. Because you are building those foundational skills, you are looking for those people who can like help see you as a person. But it's more than that too. It's just being able to go there and really connect and be like, hey, I know we're learning content right now. I know it's like you're just reading this book, but it's also you're learning the skills you need to, take control of your life. Like how you were saying last night, it was like being able to make the choices that they want to rather than just survive.
Right.
Like I wanted to, when I was younger, I wanted to know why I had to read or just do math when I, didn't really have any plans to do that. And now I know it really wasn't about that content. It was about the skills that they gave it. It's like, I want my students to know that like when I'm telling them to read this book, it's not about the book. I don't care about the book. I want you to know how to think critically. I want you to know how like when you're older, when you're like reading the newspaper, listening to the news, going to work, you can actually look at what's in front of you and be like, this like overall text doesn't matter. The subtext does. Like if I get a letter from HR, oh, this is what the actual issue is. And this is how I can address it. Not like, oh, well, I just cut in front of somebody to the bathroom. It's about the fact like you're disrespecting a coworker.
Right.
Like just those actual skills that allow you to connect with others, understand them, practice empathy in your everyday life. I think that's so important. And I think it's something that's like not addressed enough and that we as teachers can allow our students to understand.
Absolutely.
Can I bounce off of that?
Go ahead. Yeah.
So, I like what you said about the critical thinking and even at like an early childhood standpoint. I don't know if y'all have ever seen that quote like circulates Facebook. It's something that says children ask so many questions and they're always told don't ask questions, just do it. But they need to ask questions because they don't know and they're trying to navigate, and we want them to think that way because we don't want to tell them how to think. We want them to learn how to think. So thinking critically.
Yeah, for me going off that, like when I have a student ask me a question, no matter what kind of question it is, it shows me that one, they're processing what I said and they're trying to adapt in their way to answer that or to prove to me that they know. Like if it's about content, if I'm teaching long division, they ask me a question about why there's a remainder. When I just taught them that tells me they're processing why there is and that they're on their way to knowing why there is and being able to perform that when I need them to.
Yeah.
So I think I love that.
It's all rooted in critical thinking. Come on, let's clap it up for Mikey. I want to make sure everybody gets their love. Make sure everybody's gets supported. And like to your point, what everybody is saying right now, that's like the power of what we do as educators and the critical thinking. I know even you cited the example of like getting older, reading a newspaper and things like that. And even as things change and newspapers go away and, AI is more prevalent and things like that, if you get caught up in a medium, then you'll always be out of date. But if you understand how to learn, you can always be ready for whatever comes next. Like I was telling you guys last night, it's just being able to acquire skills, learning how you learn so that you can acquire skills, critical thinking, problem solving, teaching them those skills because those are transferable to any industry. I'm not even just talking about career, but to, like you said, at the grocery store or like when you're at work at HR, whatever it is, if I understand how to think and how to learn, then I can think about and learn anything. So that's super, super important that you guys were able to pull that out. All right.
And also no one can ever take that away from you.
Yeah.
No.
Like that's one thing that's yours that no one can ever take.
That knowledge is in there. It's in there. And so as we're talking about building skills, I want to help you all build skills as well. So, I always like to give, takeaways and make sure that there's actionable steps. So I have a question. Do you think, as of right now, you being juniors and seniors in college, that if I were to ask you, what does it take to be a highly effective teacher, that you could go on record on like Good Morning America and just give it, why your eyes look like that?
No.
And just give an answer of what it takes to be a highly effective teacher?
No.
I don't think I could go on.
I don't think I could go on record.
Is there a definition? Like, is there like
Could you give us, if I said, this is Beth giving us the secret sauce to how to be a highly effective teacher, Beth, go. Would you be able to say, this is what you need to do to be a highly effective teacher?
I don't know if there's just one thing.
I don't think so. I think for me, it's everyone's different. Like her being an effective teacher is going to be different from me being an effective teacher. And it's going to be different from them. So I think like it's what makes you effective for you and your students in that classroom each year. Because also like each year it's going to change and you're going to adapt to the new students you have in that room because what you did to be effective the year before may not be what needs to be done to be effective this year.
And also what's effective for one child might be effective for another.
So I think it's unique to I think it's unique to everybody.
I I think there is a base though, and I think the base is knowing and understanding your students.
Yeah.
And so knowing that you do have to adapt and you might have to change a few things, I think that does make you effective as well. But I think knowing your students and knowing how they learn and knowing what they need also makes you a very effective teacher.
Okay. And I think all of what you guys are saying is true. So my question to you then would be how? Like, how do we make this thing happen, Maddie? How do we become highly effective? And just to push back on what you guys are saying a little bit, I think that there is a way to be highly effective. To your point, there's different ways to go about it.
Yeah.
You know, like we were talking about last night, there are principles that if students can leave with these outcomes, we're going to improve achievement data. There are things that this is going to help students. Now, the way that you do it in Beth's class, the way you do it in Mason's class might be completely different. The way you do it for a student like Kiara is going to be different than you do it for a student like Courtney. But like, so there's different strategies and approaches, but there are things that make somebody highly effective. What I want to do is I want you guys to be able to put yourselves on a path as you step into the classroom to say, these are the things that I can do to be a highly effective teacher. As of right now, we may not be able to come up with a definition. Like everybody was like, I don't know if I can come up with just a definition. But I want to use this cool process that I learned from Charlie Munger called inversion thinking. Has anybody ever heard of the process called inversion thinking? You've heard of it?
A little bit.
Okay, a little bit, kind of. I'll explain it a little bit and give you an example. Inversion thinking is the process that understands that our brains are better at finding problems than solutions. So just now I asked, could you tell me what it takes to be a highly effective teacher? We're like, I don't know. It's hard to kind of find that solution. But watch this. Do you guys want a money example or a relationship example?
Relationship.
Oh my gosh. Okay. You guys are into relationships. Let's do it. So if I asked you, same scenario, let's go on Good Morning America. All eyes are on you. What does it take to stay in a relationship forever? The relationship you're in now, what does it take to stay in a relationship forever? Do you have a statement that you can give me? Or would it be easier, Beth, I'm sorry, Maddie, I know you're in a relationship. You said you're engaged. Is that it? Is that it? Come on, let's snap for that a little couple of snaps. Would you be able to tell me something that he could do that will end the relationship before this week is over?
Probably.
So would it be easier, if you think about relationships, would it be easier for you to give me the things to do to make it last forever? Granted, none of us have ever been in a relationship that lasts forever. Or would it be easier to give me some things that could happen that would make this relationship end right now? Which one would be easier?
Second one.
The second one. Because our brains it's easier to find problems than it is to think of solutions. But do you want to share what's something that could possibly happen that would end your relationship immediately? Or would you not want to share that? Because you don't have to.
No, share it.
Okay, what's something that could happen that would end the relationship before this week is over?
I feel like this is basic, but cheating.
Okay,
Yeah.
like that's infidelity, right? 'Cause that would be
That's
my answer
something we've
too.
already promised to each other, like going into marriage. So
Right. So if I find out that you cheated or you find out there was some infidelity, then we're done. Like, that's it. Okay. So boom. Inversion thinking says, I may not be able to give you a statement that says, hey, if we do these things, we'll be able to last forever. But I can say, if you cheat, we definitely won't last. So inversion thinking says, if cheating is going to make this give me the result I do not desire, let me find the reciprocal of that. Let me not cheat. And that'll help us stay on the path towards staying together forever. Okay? That's what inversion thinking is. So thinking about the things that would give you the opposite of your desired result and then making a plan against those things. Okay? Does that kind of make a little bit of sense?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So I bet you if you sat down and started thinking about these are all the things that would make our relationship fall apart. Cheating, stealing money, not communicating. How about we don't cheat? We communicate with each other, right? So that's how you start to go down the path towards getting the desired result. So now let's do the same thing with effective teaching. We may not have a solution for effective teaching, but can you think of something that a teacher would do that would make them be a terrible teacher? I would like for each of you to give me one thing that a teacher would do that would make them a terrible teacher. And we're going to talk about how to flip that so that we can become great.
If this school year burnt you out and you're coming back next school year, summer break isn't going to be enough to make next school year even better. Because time off doesn't heal you when the issue is how you spend your time on. What will heal you is a solution to your stressors. As a former terrible teacher turned 2-time teacher of the year, I've struggled with the same things that you are struggling with. Tell me if you said any of these things this year. This is too much. What is wrong with these kids? Where's my support? You don't need any more strategies that may or may not work. What you need is a comprehensive solution, one that is unique to you and your problems. And if you've watched this far, you definitely connect with the problem. So let me share the solution that helped heal me. I was able to find my teacher ID to help me avoid stress and make an impact. And now I just want to help you do the same. I can teach you how to identify your dreams so that you can live it in every block every day. I can teach you how to illuminate your differences so that you can make the impact that only you can. I can teach you how to ignore your doubters so you can fortify your mindset to know that you are strong enough to do this work. And I can teach you how to improve your data so you can deliver on the promise you made to students to help them be their best selves. All you have to do is click the link below to make next school year your best school year.
Anybody can start. What's something that would make a terrible teacher?
Yeah.
Yeah, Mikey.
So I'd say being stagnant would make it
Stagnant.
So,
Good word.
yeah, just not changing, not updating what you're doing at all, not like, growing. You need to grow, you need to change, you need to adapt, like Mason and Beth said earlier.
Yeah.
So, that's
Boom.
one.
Exactly. So if you are stagnant, not growing, not changing, not adapting, not using your own critical thinking skills to learn new information and deliver that to your students, then you are being ineffective. So the reciprocal of that would be somebody who is able to receive new information and grow and professionally develop themselves. All right. Last night we talked about principles. That's under the extend principle. I'm going to reflect over my practice and continue to be a lifelong learner. So that is the extend principle. So that's good. What else? What else would make a terrible teacher?
For me, is not asking for help. Because, and I kind of relate this, last school year, in the spring semester, I did a long-term sub job. I did all my classes online. This was right before I went into my education program, and I was brand new. I was teaching. I did a 3rd grade one and I did a 4th grade one. It was like half and half. And going into the 3rd grade, it was teaching all subjects. Didn't have like a co-teacher. A lot of the teachers on the grade level were not accepting of a long-term sub almost. Like it was like my fault that I was there. And I was like, I promise it's not. And so it's not that I didn't want to ask for help. There was really nobody I could go to for help.
I got it.
And so like I had to, and it was weird for me because I'd never been in that school before. So I felt weird going to somebody that was outside that grade level. And it took me almost probably 3 or 4 weeks before I was like, I can't do this by myself. Like I'm failing these students as just much as I'm failing myself. Yeah. Like I'm not taking anything out of this experience because I'm not going to get help to find what I can do to benefit these 23 students.
Right.
And for these next 6 weeks, I'm all they have. And like same there, like I'm there every single day. I mean, I was there, like long-term subs don't stay at the school till 6:30 except this one right here. And I don't know why I did that. Some people think I'm crazy and I thought I was too at some points.
I know why you did it. Yeah. You didn't ask for help.
Yeah. And after that 3rd week, when I started asking for help, I was leaving every day at 2:30. I was out. And that's when I started seeing the change in test scores and just overall happiness of being in that classroom. For them and me, like, because I wasn't wasting my time and I wasn't wasting theirs because I got the right help I needed to get.
Absolutely. So a terrible teacher is somebody who doesn't ask for help, says, I'm going to do this in isolation. I'm going to figure it out all by myself. And maybe eventually you do. But at what cost? Like, how long would it take you to figure it out all by yourself? And how many students are you negatively affecting in the meantime? But somebody who's highly effective knows how to ask for help. And that is the endure principle that we covered last night. There's 6 principles of effective instruction. To be able to endure, you have to find your supports, like Kiara was talking about earlier. Finding your guide, your supporter, your encourager, your protector. Like finding those people to help you along the way so that you're not trying to figure this thing out all by yourself. Teachers that are able to surround themselves with those sorts of support are teachers that go forward to be successful. All right, one more. Come on, we're doing this thing. Let me get at least one more.
Not building connections with those students, but also the people around you in the school. I didn't realize how important that was until I got into my first field, and we just had a professional development meeting earlier this week, and we talked about how it's so important to build connections with the people that are working with you and how they're going through the same struggles or same successes that you are, and they're still trying to figure out those things that are going on in their classrooms, and we all need to come together to try to find a way to help fix these issues, quote unquote. And I feel like if you can't build a connection with your students or another teacher, you can't ask for help. You can't, adapt and change. But when you connect with someone, you can, build that relationship. You can grow together. Sometimes it's good to grow together and then just grow by yourself, because sometimes you feel alone and isolated. But if you're together, you're like, okay, we got this. I got a team, right?
Bouncing off that, that's why I love teaching like upper elementary, because we most departmentalize. You have that co-teacher where y'all are, no matter if you're together for just 1 year and y'all separate, or you find, or like, one of y'all leaves or move to grade levels, for that year, they build such a tight bond where it's like they are your support system. Like you said, one person can't surround, and I believe that. With that, but even with a co-teacher, they make up like almost, it feels like almost 3/4, because you're with them all of the time.
Right.
And it feels so strong. That's why at the very end of the year, you're like, I don't really want to leave you. Because it's all you know.
That's super, super helpful. That connection part is huge. Like you say, connecting with your coworkers, but also connecting with the students and building those relationships, right? That is part of the engage principle. That's the third E, or one of the 6 E's. That's 3. So you gave me 3 so far. You gave me, we've got encourage, we've got extend, and we've got engage. Because we have to engage, like we have to build relationships in order to engage them. Right? We have to engage with staff. We have to engage with parents. We have to engage with everybody around us. So understanding how to master that principle would put you on the path towards effective teaching. Not building relationships with students and not finding supports in the building is what leads you on the path to not being a strong teacher. So what I wanted to show you that process, because we won't be able to do the full extensive process today, because I really want you to sit with this and think about what would it take to be terrible, just like we did. Like really list out as many things as possible. Because you may not know what it takes to be great, but you can definitely tell what it takes to be terrible. So think about, this would make me terrible, this would make me terrible, this would make me terrible. List out as many as you possibly can, and then try to find the antithesis of that. Try to find the reciprocal. So let me avoid doing this by doing this. Right. And start doing those things. And that'll put you on the path to being a highly, highly, highly effective teacher. Like I said, there are 6 proven principles, and I always teach the 6 proven principles because, like we said last night, PSI, when you take those proven principles plus your special skills, that's what's going to lead to an immense impact. And what I didn't tell you guys is that we recently launched a course that's called Impact. And what it does is it is virtual courses that teach those 6 principles. And it teaches those 6 principles that you need to be highly effective teachers. Some of the things that you just pointed out. If you look at them as categories, under each category, there are then lessons that teach you how to do this thing. So if we're talking about engagement, how do we build relationships with students? If we're talking about empowerment, how do we design lessons that students retain information? We're talking about extension, how do we make sure that we are professionally developing ourselves? So it's really aligned to all the 6 principles. What I would like to do for you is I would like to gift you 1 year free access to that starting July 1st. From July 1st this year to July 1st next year for the 6 of you that are here today, all right? You got that's okay, that's all right. All right. For helping me out, but because I see so much potential in you. Ella, you can have it too. I just see so much potential in you to be great, just from hearing your answers for real. And I want to help you along that process as we talk about finding your guide, finding your supporter, those types of things. I can't physically be everybody's guide. But because I've learned so much and I've experienced so much from being a terrible teacher and transitioning from that terrible teacher to a 2-time teacher of the year, I want to share some of those tips and strategies and those principles so that you can be highly effective. So you have access to that. And for everybody that's listening, the link will be in the description below in the show notes to make sure that you can find out how to get access as well. Thank you all so much for this conversation.
Thank you.
I really appreciate you all. Put your hands together one more time for yourselves. I guarantee you that although you are a new teacher, you can have a big impact.